Moana may seem like another fun family movie on the surface, but these waters go deeper than you'd expect. From accurate mythological gods to real-life rock gods, here's what you only notice as an adult. As many Disney movies as there have been over the years, it's kind of rare that they actually get to be multi-dimensional characters with rich inner lives and clearly defined preoccupations. And it's rarer still for those preoccupations to be completely unrelated to getting romanced by a dude. As a character, Moana is the rare example of a Disney princess who brings more to the table. Moana has a vibrant personality, a clear set of beliefs grounding her, and non-romantic motivations and goals that feel tangible. Sure, her mission is initially tied to a male character in Maui, but when Maui's help turns out not to be strictly necessary for saving her home island of Motunui and protecting her people, Moana does it herself. That's all extra impressive considering Moana almost had a completely different main character. Virtually everything in the movie happens because Moana makes it happen, or otherwise sets it into motion. She shapes her own story.
The ocean chose you.
The presence of the ocean itself as a character that moves, makes decisions, interacts with people is one of the more original things about Moana. But it does make you ask, why didn't the ocean just give Te Fiti her heart back directly? And why is its protection of Moana sort of inconsistent across the movie? Even kids might be asking those questions, but it all makes sense if you understand the ocean as a spiritual guide driven by larger goals than just solving the plot. The ocean didn't just want to restore Te Fiti's heart and be done with it. It wanted the people of Motunui to rediscover their sailing tradition, and the only way to do that was to have Moana complete the journey as a wayfinder and then bring her experience back home. Plus, the ocean might not have been able to give Te Fiti a heart back immediately because Te Fiti became a lava creature who couldn't touch water. Viewing the ocean that way, it's easy to understand why it tests Moana's kindness as a child by giving her the choice to help that baby turtle, and then gently assists her as an adult while still allowing her to figure out her own path forward. The adults in the audience are able to understand that the ocean is a mentor to Moana, not her personal assistant.
I said help me! And wrecking my boat? Not coming!
A lot of Disney movies have overprotective parents. Just look at The Little Mermaid. And just like King Triton, Moana's father Tui is framed unsympathetically by the movie for his stubborn refusal to let Moana go beyond the reef, coupled with his denial that the self-contained order on Motunui is starting to break down. And really, his denial about everything out in the big bad world.
There is no darkness. There are no monsters. There's no monsters, no.
If you watch the movie as a parent, however, you may find that Tui has more of a point than Moana is willing to concede. Yes, the history of Tui's people is one of proud sea explorers, but the same history also teaches him that venturing beyond the reef eventually became extremely dangerous. As he repeatedly points out, the island does indeed offer everything its inhabitants could need. He even has first-hand experience with defying good sense and subsequently running into tragedy. So it's not unreasonable for Tui to make an absolute priority of Moana's safety and try to protect the children from the horrors of the world. Moana's mother, Sina, is less prominent than Tui for the most part, but she does headline one of the movie's most crucial moments, when Moana is packing up her things in secret to sail off beyond the reef. Sina catches her, but instead of reprimanding her daughter, Sina helps Moana finish packing, hugs her, and sends her on her way. Sina's decision to give Moana her blessing is the polar opposite of how Tui would have responded. Obviously, both of Moana's parents love her and are deeply concerned for her safety. But where they seem to differ is that Tui still fundamentally sees Moana as a child, while Sina understands that she has a destiny to fulfill. There's no doubt that Sina still worries about Moana, but she's prepared to guide her daughter into adulthood and perhaps see the bigger picture more clearly. Tui's actions come from a good place, but they're still guided by fear of his family getting hurt. In Maui's song You're Welcome, the demigod of the wind and sea introduces himself to Moana by listing off his accomplishments, the changes they brought about, and the elements of the world he's personally responsible for. He even takes credit for the existence of the tide, the grass, and coconuts. Many of these feats are drawn from real Polynesian oral tradition, in which the figure of Maui really is depicted as a trickster hero, albeit not usually a demigod, whose bold exploits laid much of the groundwork for the world in which humans live. Although oral tradition inevitably varies from teller to teller, stories told across Polynesia have frequently cited Maui lifting up the sky. discovering the secret to making fire, capturing the sun, and making it travel more slowly, and fishing up islands. Even the story about killing an eel, burying it, and making the first coconut tree sprout out is pulled from real myth.
You're welcome.
Moana may ace all the tenets of the classic Disney recipe, but it's still a Disney movie, which means there's no completely getting away from the classic Disney formula. But Moana takes a new approach. It uses Maui as a device of the genre-savvy character who gives voice to viewers' potential reservations. Given that the movie around him is cultivating the traditional ingredients of Disney adventure, the I Want song, the journey's cool, the animal sidekick, it falls to Maui to wisecrack about how Moana fits the exact archetype of a Disney princess, even if she doesn't consider herself one.
I'm the daughter of the chief.
Same difference.
No.
If you wear a dress and you have an animal sidekick, you're a princess.
Part of the ingenuity of leaving these quips to Maui is that Maui is a bit of a bitter, insensitive jerk. When he complains about the formula, the complaints are being laid out there and acknowledged, but they're not really being validated.
The ocean chose you for a reason.
If you start singing, I'm gonna throw up.
The writers approach the story in a way that helps skeptical viewers get over themselves and embrace Moana's journey, just as Maui does. While several people contributed to the story of Moana during its years in development, in the end, the sole screenplay credit went to Jared Bush, who, like co-directors John Musker and Ron Clements, is white. So by default, the film presents an outsider's view of Polynesians. While it does result in some questionable elements, the film did make strides in terms of tactful cultural representation. Consultants from the Oceanic Story Trust were brought in, but you don't need awareness of that behind-the-scenes fact to notice that Moana goes out of its way to avoid overtly whitewashing and Americanizing its story like past Disney movies. Gone are the dated ethnic caricatures of Aladdin, the historical misunderstandings of Pocahontas, and the dilution of Chinese values of Mulan. In their place, Moana offers a story that retains much of Polynesian oral traditions, featuring three-dimensional characters with no romance in sight. Of course, the movie shouldn't be taken as a work of completely authentic indigenous storytelling, but it did get more things right than usual for Disney. The sequence in which Moana and Maui face off against the Kakamora, the tiny pirate warriors in coconut armor who roam the sea in search of loot, serves as a strength-building moment for Moana. She refuses to leave the heart of Te Fiti behind and fights tooth and nail to get it back, while Maui just watches in befuddlement, ultimately coming to respect her more for her skill and resolve. But at the end of the day, it's all mainly an excuse to add a spectacular action scene into the film's relatively uneventful sea-crossing portion. When creating this adrenaline-injecting moment, the filmmakers drew inspiration from the best action movie of the 2010s, George Miller's Mad Max: Fury Road. Directors John Musker and Ron Clements have said in interviews that Fury Road was a major influence on the Kakamora sequence. Musker told /Film, "We really wanted to make it a big scale, kinetic thing, and I think George Miller's a master of that kind of stuff." As a result, grown-up viewers may have caught that the Coconut Pirates' massive multi-story ships visually echo the rambunctious vehicular architecture of the 2015 Miller film, with the heroes doing their best to slip through a mass of highly organized foes. While the revelation that Te is Te Fiti means that Moana doesn't have an arch-villain in a traditional sense, it does have a one-off villain. That villain is, of course, Tamatoa, the giant coconut crab who hoards treasures, including Maui's hook in his cave. He's strikingly designed and flamboyant enough to make a strong impression on kids and adults alike. But most grown-ups who watch the movie will know that Tamatoa is a clear homage to a pop culture icon, David Bowie. From his different-sized pupils to his love of all things glittery, Tamatoa is visibly inspired by the artistic persona of Bowie, who passed away in January of the year Moana was released, making the movie a prime time for a tribute. Lin-Manuel Miranda, who wrote Tamatoa's song Shiny, told People magazine, "The world had already been mourning Bowie. I've been listening to Bowie on a loop. I was like, well, I'm writing a glam rock tune for this crab, this jewel-encrusted crab." The voice behind Tamatoa is Jermaine Clement, and Miranda was well aware of Clement's Bowie tribute from his time with Flight of the Conchords.
Jermaine, what are you doing?
It's not Jermaine, it's 1972 David Bowie from the Ziggy Stardust tour.
When he found out that Clement had been cast as Tamatoa, everything just clicked. Maui was largely inspired by the trickster folk hero of the same name from Polynesian mythology. This extends to his backstory, which gets revealed in the home stretch of the movie. Like his namesake in Maui tradition, Maui was thrown into the sea by his parents after being born. In the Disney version of the story, he was then rescued by the gods, who gave him his powers. It's clear even to children that this is a traumatic backstory. But younger kids aren't exactly going to grasp the horror of being a victim of attempted infanticide.
They took one look and decided they did not want me.
The same goes for the rest of Maui's story. After narrowly escaping death by his own parents' hands, he was left to grow up alone and ultimately fell into a cycle of trying to please humans with favors and gifts to feel accepted. The more he gave, the harder it became for him to conceive of being loved in any genuine way. It's dark, dark stuff. When you stop to think about it, it's no wonder Maui was so emotionally stunted and impacted by the revelation that humans might not like him anymore. In the end, Moana is the one who restores the heart of Te Fiti, which makes sense because she's the protagonist. But the choice to have Moana do it, as opposed to Maui, also carries a greater significance thematically. Moana's moment of connection with Te Fiti, in which she sees Taka, the lava monster, for who she really is, and understands her plight profoundly, acts as a perfect cap to both the film's overarching journey and to Moana's inner journey as a character.
Why do you hesitate?
I don't know.
In that moment, Moana realizes that Te Fiti has been robbed of her sense of self and then cast out by the very humans who wronged her in the first place. Her anger and despair unfairly framed as evil. Of course, it had to be Moana to reach that insight. After all, Moana is a film about the importance of understanding and defining for yourself who you are, and about the power of redemption and self-reinvention, and that theme is directly expressed through Moana's arc, including the transformative help she offers Maui in his own redemption. When she gives Te Fiti her heart, she's effectively bringing all her journey's lessons to bear. She had to go through that journey to reach that exact conclusion, which is why it's so powerful.